we back, baby. Let's go. Die Hard Giants. Salute to all the diehards. This is Die Hard Giants Live, and I am your host. I am Jarrell on IG and Twitter. Today, we are just talking about real quick some of the offseason moves that the Giants had. Yesterday was the franchise tag deadline. Obviously, everybody knows if you're a Giants fan that we signed Daniel Jones and we tagged Saquon Barkley on the franchise tag. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today. Maybe go through a little some other things. I don't want to really get into free agents and the draft just yet. I'll probably have a separate show next week for free agents and a couple other shows with draft profiles and stuff like that going forward. I got Steph in the building. What's up, Steph? How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. We have a quarterback and we got a running back, and we running it back with with those two. So I'm happy, and shout out to Geraldine and Harlem Girl in the chat. And I
Word,
agree with
word.
Harlem Girl. I'm happy that we can get out of it in 2 years. I mean, I'm not gonna go into it now. I'm sure we'll talk. We'll talk more about it. But yeah,
Words. Definitely salute Geraldine and Harlem Girl in the chat. Salute to everybody that's going to come afterwards. Eru was supposed to be on the show. I'm not sure what happened to him.
Mhm.
I know he had a little bit going on with his kids and his family. So prayers up to Eru. Hopefully everything will be good at the end of the day, and I'll check him out another time. So it's just me and you tonight, Steph.
Let's rock. Let's go.
So, Daniel Jones signed a contract yesterday. It was the talk of the Twitterverse. It was the
Mhm.
talk of the NFL because a lot of people do not think he deserved the contract that he got. Some people actually think is Daniel Jones is a polarizing figure because he's the quarterback of the New York Giants. Anybody that's going to be the quarterback or somebody that's slated to be the franchise quarterback for this team is New York, just like the Knicks, just like the Yankees and the Mets. Everything is going to be polarizing.
Right.
So, yeah, he signed yesterday. Because they signed the contract, they had to pretty much franchise Saquon Barkley to a deal that's only worth a little bit, like around $10 million.
Mhm.
The long term contract that Saquon was looking for was upward towards like 13 or 14, I think, per year. And if you're a running back, injuries come really, really quickly for running backs, and the shelf life for their careers is kind of short. So running backs have to get every penny they can as soon as they
Right.
can. So this
Right.
might
Right.
be Saquon's last hurrah to get a major deal. So yeah, I know he's probably a little bit upset about the franchise tag, but I actually think, going forward that, even though he is tagged, they still
Mhm.
have a little time to actually try to ink a long term deal with him. And it
Right.
will actually help us
Right.
in the future because like the franchise tag is worth 10 million. That 10 million has to sit on the salary cap.
Right.
So if you sign him to a long term deal, this is why signing Daniel Jones is so important
Mhm.
because the franchise tag, whatever that tag is, has to be like hard set on your cap. So if we would have franchised Daniel Jones for $32 million, it would have been $32 million on the cap.
Right.
Now that Saquon gets the cap is only 10 million, but if we sign him to a long term deal because of signing bonuses and stuff like that, that $10 million cap hit can turn into like four, maybe,
Mm. Right.
or sometimes three. So I got a little presentation going here. Let's first and foremost we have to
Mhm.
say what's up to Brian Daboll, man. Like our fearless leader got coach of the year. What you think of that stuff?
Yeah, good for him. Good for him. I mean, the bar has been raised though. Anytime you come in as a first year coach, think about Thibodeau, right? And you turn things around, that
Right.
next year expectations are high.
Right.
Even if the talent ain't even that much better, right? The expectations are high. So he's gonna have his work, cut out for him. Hopefully, during the draft and free agency, we'll get some players that'll help him actually because he did a yeoman's job with this roster.
Yes, he did. I completely agree with you. Like he definitely deserved this Coach of the Year award because the team that we had, or the team that he inherited along with Joe Shane, the GM, it was in bad. Like, it was bad, and the roster still wasn't really that good. We just inked through some wins because Brian Dable is obviously an excellent coach,
Hmm.
and Joe Shane, it seemed like he's proved that he's know what he's doing in the short time that he's been a GM. He seemed like he really knows what he's doing. Like, I'm going to get into Daniel Jones' contract. It's 4 years, $160 million, 35 or more in incentives. This is kind of before like all of the major little details was sent publicly to everybody know. The number one thing on this list is the $82 million over 2 years. Like,
Right.
football contracts are different than baseball and basketball. They're not fully guaranteed.
Right.
So that $82 million guaranteed pretty much mean that Daniel Jones is just on a 2 year deal for pretty much almost $40 million a year
Right.
on the cap. Like, just, and because of him signing this deal, it was a team friendly deal, and it will be only like around 18 million on the cap instead of the 40 that he's pretty much getting. So
Wow.
yeah, I actually think it was a great deal on both parties. Daniel Jones, he hasn't proven all the way that he is going to be the quarterback of the future. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
Right.
you know, that's why they did it like this. He's pretty much on a 2 year lease, if that makes sense, making like average, not average starter money,
Hmm.
but a little above average. Like, he might rank like around 12 or 13 in the league right now.
Right.
So I think it's a good deal.
Well, I think it's a good deal because it's only 2 years.
Right.
Because that they can get out of it in, in 2 years, because he hasn't fully, and you put it very nicely, fully proved himself.
Right.
He had a good season last year, and it gave at least me hope. I was never high. I got to be honest. I was never high on Daniel Jones,
Right.
right? Um, but seeing him play last year without having the weapons other than Saquon Barkley led me to believe, like, wow, if we get some, wide receivers around this guy, and a line, if the line holds up, let's see what we have. Very few quarterbacks can, outplay a shoddy line. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying our line played bad, but just,
Hmm.
just in general, or can play well without, wide receivers. And he did that. I still wasn't ready to say he was the franchise quarterback. So I'm happy with this. That
Right.
is essentially a 2 year contract, and we get a chance to see if he really is that guy. And if he is, then he'll have a new deal. Um, I don't know if they'll do a new deal or they'll just play out the rest of the contract.
Yeah. Like,
They'll probably
if
play
he
it out.
right, if he outplays this contract, they'll probably keep him on the contract that,
Right.
on the contract that he already
That he's
has,
on. Yeah.
because in the third and fourth year, I think the cap hit will be like around $40 million.
Hmm.
But by then, because of all the other quarterbacks coming up and the way the salary cap is in the NFL, that it goes up every year,
Right.
it might actually look like he's overpaid now. But
Hmm.
in a couple years, it can be a bargain just like that.
Right.
If he's this, if he plays the same caliber that he played last year, let's just say that.
Right.
Because for me, Daniel Jones, don't get me wrong, he's not Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
But
Right.
if you get Daniel Jones some weapons, he can't play worse than he did last year. It wouldn't really make sense to me. I don't think a
Right.
regression is
Right.
coming for
Right.
Daniel Jones.
Well, we
That's
said
all.
the same thing about RJ, but we'll see.
Yeah, that
We'll
is
see. That's sorry, Harlem girl. Um, though
that
he's
is
picking it up after the All-Star break, but
right.
it's possible but unlikely. I mean, there are some things. Listen, his rookie year, I was told that, if you have difficulty feeling the pocket collapsing, that doesn't get better over time. It's like, what? But it seemed like it has. It
Right.
seems like he has got better in being able to feel the pocket collapsing and being able to, to move out of trouble. So I'm not hating on Daniel Jones. I thought he played very well last season, given the talent that was around him. I'm happy that we got him for 2 years, and that you know the salary cap hit is like what 17, 18, 19, whatever it's going to
Right.
be. So now we have money to go out and get some weapons.
Right.
But
Definitely have money.
but let me just can I just say this real quick?
Sure.
I know we're not doing free agents. We don't need no overpriced free agents for where we are right now.
Right.
For where we are right now, find some diamonds in the rough.
Right.
Players that could fit in with what we're trying to do. And when we get a little better, then we can start swinging for the fences.
I completely agree with you. But one thing though that I would say that Daniel Jones, because of this, Daniel Jones and Joe Shane both had press conferences today.
Okay.
And I watched Joe Shane's press conference. I have a little clip for both of them. Not talking about this certain subject, but
Hmm.
because I wanted to talk about free agents another time. But you are absolutely right. But on the flip side, he said that in the free agent market going forward, he's not trying to go for like the minimized player, the minimal
Mm,
player, because his philosophy is building through the draft.
mm, okay.
Remember, he comes from Buffalo.
Hmm.
Buffalo's GM Brandon Bean.
Hmm.
He's like a mentor for him. Buffalo, if you actually look at their roster, they pretty much built it from the ground up from the draft. That's why it took so long for it to happen.
Right.
The only free agent or the only trade that they did that was a major plus was Stephon Diggs when he came from Minnesota to make them this number one wide receiver. That's just because they had Josh Allen. They had everything else. They just needed a wide receiver. So I don't know if we're in that get Daniel Jones a number one wide receiver yet. But the way that he's talking, we might see it. I don't know. Like it's really hard to judge. Like since he said that.
So, but this is the thing, though. He's it's sounding like he would pay for a high priced free agent, but then he comes from an organization, a history of building through the draft. So which one did
Right.
I hear it wrong, or is he changing course a little bit?
He's changed. No, he's building through the draft. So like the high price free agents, they're not getting like bargain free agents because he will rather build through the draft. They're a lot cheaper.
Okay.
But if you're going to swing, he's going to swing for the fence pretty much. That's what at least
Okay.
like it seems like.
Okay.
But I don't know if we're like in the same stage as Buffalo was when they got Diggs. That's
Okay.
the only thing about
Right.
that's kind of confusing. Like it's a report going out that Hopkins from Arizona,
Hmm.
he's obviously a perfect fit for us. He's a number one wide receiver.
Right.
I don't know if we have the type of capital. We have the capital to get him, but
Right.
I don't know if we should spend that capital for a number one wide receiver when we have so many holes in other areas.
Right.
Like we have 11 draft picks coming up in the draft in April. We need all 11 of those things. All 11. Don't trade up. Don't trade. If you're going to do anything, maybe trade
Trade
down to get
back.
more.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's when I say like he builds in the draft. If he does get a high price player, I'd be shocked. But that's what he said. Like he must think that we're like at that stage that Buffalo was when they got Diggs, which is kind of
Right.
surprising. But
Right.
we'll see. You
Yeah.
see, salute the Almighty Finesse in the chat.
Almighty finesse. Salute.
What's up? What up? What up? What up? Said we
Ain't
could
seen him
snag
around in a while. Hope
right.
everything is good.
Said we could snag Tremaine Edmonds in free agency. That is a very, very good comment because Tremaine Edmonds is actually coming from Buffalo, and Shane was the assistant GM when they drafted him. So he's the person who probably did work on him, or at least one of them.
Hmm.
So if Edmonds comes in, only thing though, if Edmonds comes in, that will chew up a lot of the cap space that we have. I think from those moves that we did yesterday, we might have almost 30.
Hmm.
But if Tremaine Edmonds come here, he's probably definitely a top five linebacker in free agency right now. So he's going to sign a big deal wherever he goes.
Hmm.
But yeah, that would be a very very good pickup. Hold on, Harlem Girl said something earlier. I wanted to get at. I should have started. Hold on. He said the Giants will probably draft a quarterback this season. Maybe, but it'll be like a quarterback, like maybe in the fourth or fifth round. Won't be a first round quarterback.
Right, right,
Like
right.
none of the people that or the players that the NFL is talking about, like in the combine and stuff like that,
Right,
that they
right.
marketed as the number one draft picks of this year's draft.
Hmm.
Like we're not going to get any of them. So maybe I don't know. Try to throw a name out there. There's a quarterback named Hayden Hooker from Tennessee. You know, slung it around in the SEC, so he's a pretty good quarterback. Tennessee did pretty good this year. I could see somebody like him, maybe like in the third or fourth round.
Hmm.
Let me see. Almighty Finette said he wants a young receiver. He doesn't want Hopkins. I get that too. Said draft Jordan Addison. If we can get him, man. Jordan Addison is a top five wide receiver in this year's draft. I'm not sure if he's going to make it all the way down to 25, and I don't think we're in a position to move up just for a wide receiver. I think there's a couple other wide receivers that we could get at 25. Zay Flowers coming out of Boston College is pretty good. Jalen Hyatt from Tennessee, another Tennessee volunteer, is pretty good. But yeah, all of them, if we draft any of them, I'm happy. Like I'm gonna
Hmm.
do draft profiles in the future, or I might actually wait. Well, everybody knows we're going to draft wide receiver, even if it's not in the first round. We're definitely going to get one like in the
Right.
first three. You know what I'm saying, to actually get a little burn on the outside for us. So I don't know. I'll probably do a couple player profiles, maybe not that many because they're almost useless until we actually know who we're picking. Like it's just doing a whole bunch of scouting work on players that we're not going to get. So we'll
Hmm.
see. He said Rasheed Rice. I know him from SMU. Pretty good wide receiver as well. Yeah, that's pretty much it on Daniel Jones, though. Um, Hold on one second. I'm trying to think what was next. I think we're going right into. Yeah, he said this little quote that I took from Twitter. He said, I said after the season, I love
Sorry.
this place.
Sorry.
It's all good. I said after the season, I love this place. I really enjoyed my time here, and I want to be here. Like you're not gonna get any more other than anything else other than that from Daniel Jones. Like he's a straight shooter. He doesn't really get too happy or
Hmm.
too low. It seems like he's almost like sadder than Eli was. Remember how Eli always had the straight face? Daniel Jones is even more straight faced than Eli was. You should have saw him in
Right.
his press conference. You would think that somebody that signed, a long term contract for their team would be a little more upbeat. Daniel Jones looked like, yeah, I'm just here to work, bro. like,
Right, right,
like
right, 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 right,
he was very very let's just say business like in his press conference today.
right.
So let's get into Saquon Barkley. I put up here all the players that were actually tagged in the NFL. Obviously, a lot of teams don't usually utilize the tag because that means that you're paying whoever you pay the tag to. That means they're getting like the average salary of like the top quarterbacks or top running backs in the league, or depends on what position
Right.
that you play. So obviously, the big name on this list isn't Saquon Barkley, it's Lamar Jackson.
Hmm.
So they pretty much in the same predicament that we were in. Because they tagged Lamar Jackson, that $32 million is going to be on the cap unless they sign him to a long term deal, which is going to be huge. At least it
Right.
should be.
Right.
So, like Daniel Jones and Lamar Jackson's contract, they shouldn't even be in the same stratosphere at all. Like Lamar
Wow.
Jackson should be getting maybe like 50 plus, maybe. He already won an MVP.
Wow.
So once you got that, you know, in your bag, like I could see why he didn't sign some of the deals that they probably tried to get him. They might have tried to sign him to a deal only worth $45 million now, just because, like I said before, it might seem like a lot of money now, but in a
Hmm.
couple years, he can go from being the third highest quarterback in the league to like the 17th.
Right.
And if you're like a young quarterback that already won an MVP, I can see why he didn't sign it. That's just like he's probably not going to play under this tag.
Right.
And unfortunately, that might be the same thing with Saquon Barkley too. I don't
You mean he would
expect,
hold out?
yes, I don't expect Saquon Barkley to step on the field
Uh-huh.
for $10 million. No.
Right.
If I
Right.
was him and if I was the Giants, they obviously want to have some type of common ground.
Hmm.
They said they tried to sign him for like 12 and a half per year and
Hmm.
they couldn't get it done. I don't know if it was because of the years or the money. Like they're not
Right.
going to, you know,
Right.
put out that type of information, but he didn't sign it. So if he didn't sign for 12.5, he's definitely not going to play for 10.
Right. What are the chances that another team signs him? I know the Knicks, I mean the Knicks, the Giants can match it and get two first round draft picks if I'm not mistaken.
Mhm.
But what are the chances that that happens?
To me, zero, because
Okay.
like I don't see any other team giving somebody two first round picks for Saquon Barkley. He's a
Right.
running back.
Right.
Just like Josh Jacobs is up
That's
there.
true.
He
Hmm.
had Josh Jacobs led the league in rushing. Nobody's
Hmm.
going to trade the Raiders two first round picks for Josh Jacobs.
Right.
Just because the position, it's not like it used to be. It's not like the Walter Payton days when the running
Hmm.
back was like the face of the franchise and stuff like that. Even though Saquon was built to be the face of the franchise for us because he was the second overall pick, but
Hmm.
in all actuality, it's not Saquon Barkley, it's Daniel Jones now because he's the quarterback.
Right. No doubt.
Evan Ingram is a familiar name on this list. He couldn't get a long term deal. Actually, having a good season after having a good season with the Jacksonville Jaguars, they couldn't get a long term deal done. So he's actually making more money than Saquon now. So you could think about like the talent and the verse position.
Hmm.
Like Evan Ingram, obviously, this is a guy that we tried to throw away. At least I did because he couldn't
Right.
catch nothing. So
Right. And
now
he was
he
always injured.
right. So now not only is he making more money on the tag than Saquon Barkley, going forward, his long term deal is probably going to be more than Saquon's just because of the position that he plays.
Right.
So going forward, like we can even for us, it would be good if somebody tried to get Saquon for us
Yeah.
because we
Yeah.
get two first round picks. I would
Yeah.
trade Saquon for two first round picks in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
nobody's going to do that. Like the running back class is always deep every year.
Right.
You can get a 6th round pick. The the dude, what's his name? Isaiah Pachenko, right? He went to
Mhm.
Rutgers. He's from Jersey. He's from around here. He was picked like in the 7th round with the Chiefs. He ended
Mhm.
up starting in the Super Bowl
Wow.
and actually having a good game. They just drafted him. He's a rookie. He's picked like in the 6th or 7th round or something like that.
Right.
So when you have somebody that David Gettleman, I don't want to say wasted the second overall pick because we all love Saquon, but
Right.
he shouldn't have been picked second overall pick. That doesn't really make any sense in today's NFL.
Right. Well, he called him a gold jacket or whatever he was called at the time. And he
He's
might be true, but it might be true, but still.
right, right. But Saquon is not just on the field stuff; it's off the field. Like he's a,
Mhm.
I don't know, he's a model citizen, but I don't know. Depending on what the price of that model citizen is, I might want somebody that isn't such a model citizen. Like if you only make it like $3 million a year,
Right.
compared to if he wants like 14.
Right.
Like we can't afford that. Not with the holes that we have on our team, especially our offense. So would you
Right.
rather pay Saquon 14 and we not upgrade the line at all, or we
No.
can, or we can try to sign him to a long term deal to get the number down, but we'll be handcuffed to him for another 4 years.
Oh, it's a long time for a
Right for
running back.
running back, that's what I'm saying. That's the dilemma that we have. But for Saquon, obviously he's going to win a long term deal. That's just how he should think. Like that's him. So
The
I don't know,
Giants could have
man.
let him walk too.
You think so?
They could have. I mean, you could get. I mean, I'm not. He's. See the. It like you're just pointing out. Football is different. It's not
Right.
even that he's not a good player. He is a very good player. It's not even that he had a good season. He had a very good season. Um, for the Giants, but it's just at that position you can find running backs who may not do exactly what he did,
Right.
but can get close, you know? And we have
Exactly.
so many other needs, you know?
Right. We might could draft somebody in the fifth round that can do 75% of what Saquon could do for like, I don't know, a fraction of what his salary is.
Right,
So I don't know, man. It's hard, man, because we love Saquon just because it's him.
right, right,
Like if he was a jerk and nobody liked him, or if he didn't produce on the field, we
right,
wouldn't have those same feelings for him. Like they was talking about releasing Kenny Galladay. Like that's a given.
right,
Don't nobody care that we releasing Kenny Galladay.
right,
It wasn't even news.
right,
Like,
right,
it
right,
wasn't even
right,
on the radar really because we are he doesn't produce, so we don't really care about him. Even though he was a good wide receiver at one point.
right. Yeah. I mean, and they from one season to the next, look how they talking about what's his name? The Dallas running back.
Tony Pollard, because
No.
they franchise. Oh, Zeke.
Yeah.
Right. Because of that, they had to franchise Tony Pollard, who is better than Zeke.
Right. Zeke is still playing for them though, right?
Right. Yes.
But I heard I was reading somewhere that how he had fell off and you know, and I was like, wow.
He did. He signed that long term deal. They got a rookie, Tony Pollard. He ended up outperforming him. So because of that, they have to franchise him and try to get him on a long term deal. But they're going to get rid of Zeke at one point.
Wow.
But just like Saquon, Zeke is like a face of the franchise. Like he was picked in the top five, I think. Also, like Zeke was picked fourth. So it's kind of hard to give up those players while they're like in the building, and you just give up on them. Like from a fan
Right.
base standpoint
Right.
to an
Right.
organization standpoint, it's kind of
Right.
hard to just be like, yeah, we can let Saquon walk.
Right. Yeah, no, no doubt.
You know
I
what I'm saying?
understand.
Like
Yeah,
the
I
same thing
understand.
with Zeke because
Hmm.
if it was Zeke,
If it was
if it
just about talent, you know.
right, Zeke wouldn't
Right.
be there.
Right.
Like Tony Pollard outperformed him in the last 2 years.
Right.
So
Wow.
Almighty Finesse actually said something like that. We can't do what the Cowboys did, throwing away big bag at quarterback and running back. I wanted to talk about that too because a lot of people was talking about Daniel Jones' deal. I believe he has the same numbers as Dak when it comes to how many years and how much money he signed.
Hmm.
The difference is, hold on, let me get that off. The difference is the 4 million, 100 the 4 years, 160 million for Dak. 80% of that was guaranteed.
Mm.
For us, the 4 years, 160 mil for Daniel Jones is only 50% guaranteed.
Right.
That's the difference. It's how you structure the contract. So that's why I said
Right.
that Joe Shane, even though this is his first major deal as a GM, I think he knocked this out of the park compared to a lot of
Right.
other GMs.
Right. Right.
Like Daniel Jones, we can get rid of him in 2 years if he stinks up the joint. That is
Right.
beautiful
That is beautiful.
compared to what we could have signed him to.
Right.
Like he earned more a bigger contract than what he did, but I don't know. I just give it up to Joe Shane. That was awesome.
Yeah, because when we were talking about the contract, at least in my mind, I was like, 2 years from Daniel Jones, that's it. I want to see what he got for the for the next 2 years. And so the way they structured it, basically, it's a 2 year contract.
Right. And I got a little clip on Daniel Jones had a press conference today, and somebody asked him about having like a team friendly deal, and they brought up Saquon too. So I want to
Mhm.
play that real quick.
In a situation like this, you're trying to do what's best for you and your family while also balancing being part of a team and understanding the goals and the vision that we have as a team and as an organization, and that was certainly important to me throughout the deal, and I think we found a way to do both those things and to do it the right way for both sides. So yeah, that was certainly important to me. And yeah, so, I mean, Saquon, I've said he means a ton to me as a teammate, as a friend, and means a ton to us as a player. So certainly I won't talk about his business, but that was a piece of it too.
Right. And then Joe Shane, obviously, since Saquon is the one who got tagged, they were both asked a whole bunch of questions about Saquon. This is Joe Shane.
Joe, obviously, with you guys extending Daniel, you were able to franchise tag Saquon. So I was just wondering where things stand right now with him. Are you guys still negotiating? How are those negotiations going? And is there hope that you might be able to get something long term done with him as well before the new league year begins?
Yeah, I'm going to talk to Saquon today. I talked to him yesterday before, we put the franchise tag on him. So again, we've had deals out, whether it's the bye week or recently, and we're going to continue to negotiate. We love Saquon. He's a good teammate. He's a captain. He's a hell of a player. So, right now he's under the franchise tag, and as we build the team and continue with our offseason plan, we'll do what's best for the team, and we're still mapping that out.
Steph, I don't even know how I feel having that man be our GM compared to what we went through with David Gettleman.
I don't really know how to feel about the fact that we can hear the questions being asked.
Right.
Whenever the Knicks have a press conference,
I thought of that too.
We cannot hear the questions
I thought of
being
that
asked.
too.
This was so crisp.
I thought of that too.
It's like, we got to guess what the question was from the answer.
I had to. I didn't even tell you exactly what they asked him. That's why I could just play it. Like, I love it. Yeah, with Tibbs, they were like, and then Tibbs just start talking.
Right. To your point, though, Harlem Girl said the same thing. She said if that was David Gettleman, Daniel Jones' contract would have been fully guaranteed.
Yo, fully guaranteed, all 160, and we would have had him all 4 years for 160.
Oh my!
Say he's our quarterback. I'm in love with him. I don't think it would have been all of that, man. I can't stand David Gettleman. Every time I think about him, I think how he killed our franchise, man. The work that Joe Shane and Brian Daboll has done, this one calendar year is way better than David Gettleman done. Seemed like his whole career, but I don't want to completely crap on him because he actually had like a Super Bowl contender when he was with the Panthers. So he fell off fast though. Let's just say that I guess maybe because he like old school and like in today's NFL you can't do that anymore. It's just like basketball where people talk about maybe Tibbs. He's old, but he's a coach. It's different when you're a GM. The GM can't have like the old school mentality just like they did like in the 80s and 90s. Football has changed.
Right.
He was not supposed to draft Saquon Barkley at 2 overall. It made no sense.
Yeah.
But, we love Saquon because Saquon is Saquon. Any fan base would have loved Saquon. Right. He just shouldn't have been picked where he got picked. It's the situational type stuff.
Right. Yeah, no doubt.
So these are a couple tidbits that I got from Jordan Renan. I follow him on Twitter. He's a beat writer for ESPN and the Giants. The Giants have started talks with representatives of defensive lineman Dexter Lawrence for a long term.
There you go.
Sexy Dexy is coming back. I can't
talk it.
Right. He was an all pro last year. He was obviously our best defensive player on the field. So yeah, Dexter Lawrence is going to be a Pro Bowler for at least like defensive tackles, even though they're big and their shelf life is kind of small too. But the good ones, for some reason, play a long time. Usually, I don't know why. Like tackles, when it comes to defense and offensive tackles, the good ones usually play for a very long time, even though the shelf life for the average player is short. But Dexter Lawrence might be our defensive tackle for like another 6 years.
Wow.
Only thing though, he is so good that extension is going to be monstrous. So don't be scared of it. Let's just say that.
Right.
He might end up being the number one defensive tackle in the league, paid wise. Like he might be more than Aaron Donald. It all depends. We have to see.
Right.
And the Giants re-signed Jared Davis. Jared Davis was one of the players that we got like a couple weeks before the playoffs. Like he used to play for Detroit. I told you he was one of those linebackers that we got off the couch and he ended up starting. That's why in the draft and in free agency, linebacker is key on both
Right.
counts. Like
Right.
we need a free agent. Almighty finesse, salute to him again. He brought up Edmonds earlier. We need to get Edmonds and draft a linebacker in the
Yeah.
first maybe 2 or 3 rounds.
Do we have any line? Okay, Jared Davis re-signed. Who else do we have?
That's on the right. I would have to look. I don't even know. Like Micah
All right.
McFadden. Micah McFadden was a rookie last year.
Mm-hmm.
He was
Mm-hmm.
a rookie and he was okay.
Mm-hmm.
One of the rookies last year that we drafted, he ended up not even getting on the field. His name is Darren Beavers out
Mm-hmm.
of Cincinnati. Like he's almost going to be like a new draft pick because we drafted him and he tore his ACL in the offseason. So he's never
Mm-hmm.
even played for us yet. So those two obviously is going to fight for minutes. But yeah, we need to draft a free agent and we need to sign one. We need a leader on defense.
Yeah.
And historically, I always talk about how the Knicks are historically bad at drafting.
Mm-hmm.
The Giants, even though we're known for our linebackers when it comes to Lawrence Taylor, Harry Carson, obviously, a couple other ones, we haven't drafted a first round linebacker, I think, since Carl Banks
Mm.
in the 80s.
In the 80s.
I think he was the last person that we drafted in the first round at the linebacker position. Everybody else that we've gotten that were good was either, late round picks or we, didn't draft them and they just came over here like in free agency.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if this is going to be the year that we actually finally draft the first round linebacker. I kind of doubt it because of where we at. Like the top linebackers might be off the board by 25, but we'll see. And I think we might go like the wide receiver, but it's going to be either wide receiver, linebacker, or corner for the
Mm-hmm.
draft. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
See Almighty finesse like Trenton Simpson. I really really like him too. Coming out of Clemson, he might be a second round pick though. I'm not 100% sure that we would grab him at 25. It all depends on who's on the board. Like if a wide receiver like Jordan Addison or Zay Flowers is on the board at 25, do you pick Trenton Simpson and lose out on a weapon for Daniel Jones, or do you get like the single caller for your defense going forward for the next 6 or 7 years? Like you have to,
Mm.
because you only got one first round pick. Like
But
and
what's the
what's
hardest position to fill? In the rest of the draft, and also in free agency.
well, wide receivers, since the league is how it is, you can get a good wide receiver in the late rounds, just like running backs.
There you go.
So for me, I might go linebacker, but it's hard to pass up
Yeah.
somebody that you know is going to be dynamic for your offense if you just signed your franchise quarterback and he had no weapons last year. So it's going to be kind of hard to pass over like a top 5 wide receiver if he just drops in your lap. That's tough.
Yeah. That's what happened with Lamb, right? He fell in Dallas
Yes,
lap.
he fell in the draft. He was supposed to be like a top 10 pick, and he fell to Dallas like in the low teens or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So no, hold on. Almighty Finesse said no, draft Addison and then draft maybe Simpson in the early second. See, we have a late second, so that will mean that we actually have to move up in the second. So in order to move from 25 to get like in the top, maybe what 5 or 10 in the second round. We might have to give up one of the thirds that we have. We have 2 third-round picks this year. We have one like in the late, like 25th pick in the third round, but we also have a compensatory pick like towards the end of the third round. So
Mm-hmm.
if we could give one of those up, maybe we can move up in the second round to get Trent
Yes.
Simpson.
But we need every pick we can get, though.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Every
So
player we can get with the picks that we have.
that's why it's tough, man. Like it is really tough. Do you get a blue chip prospect that you know that can start right away, or do you try to, get more value picks? Let's just say that.
But how many of these first round wide receivers historically have worked out? Because the Giants have done that a lot under Jerry Reese, though.
But they all worked out though. You got Odell Beckham, Hakeem Nicks worked out.
But they're not with us for long though.
See, Odell was Odell. When it came to Knicks, injuries kind of stopped his career
Right,
after
right.
we
I
won the
like
Super
Knicks
Bowl.
too.
Yeah, I liked him too. When it come to Odell, remember he was the only. When it comes to remember how the Knicks always talk about like they don't sign an extension for first round picks. The Giants was like that too. For a long stretch, we didn't have a first round pick get an extension until Odell. Because before that, remember it was Eric Flowers. It was a whole
Oh
bunch
my God.
with
Clutch my pearls.
with Justin Pugh. Like it was a whole bunch of first round picks, like from
Right.
like a whole decade. And Odell was the only person who had an extension, who got an extension out of it, like a whole 10-year span. So yeah, like to your point, yeah, you can hit or miss as a wide receiver, but to be honest, that's every position.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But I just feel like we've spent a lot of capital in the first rounds, especially under Jerry Reese, if I'm not mistaken, on wide receivers. And I just felt like, and I'm not saying they weren't good, but it's just a position where you can get, and you ain't gonna get an Odell Beckham, don't get me
Right,
wrong,
right,
but you
right,
can
right.
get a decent wide receiver in the later rounds. So just in this season coming up, this draft coming up, like you said, we do need a wide receiver or two. Um, but we need linebackers too. We need corner. What
We
about the
need we
cornerbacks?
need corners. We need linebackers. We need interior offensive linemen. We need depth in the defensive linemen too. Like after Sexy Dexy and Leonard Williams. Leonard Williams is like at the end, not at the end of his rope. I don't want to call him like an old man or anything, but he's at the point of his contract that he needs to take a pay cut, or we're gonna have to release him.
Wow.
Like he's making so much money on towards the cap because of the contract that
Right.
David Gettleman, but and we traded for him, so we had
And
to
that's
sign him.
oh boy.
Right,
All
we
right.
traded for
Yeah.
him, so we had to sign him to a big deal, or
Right.
lose out on the trade. So
Right.
yeah, so like now, like if Leonard Williams is taking up like 20 something $1 million on your salary cap, like he either gotta, if he wants to stay here, he'll take a pay cut. But if not, we're gonna have to get rid of him. And there's no depth after that. Like we have holes everywhere. Let's just say that.
And that's what I'm saying. So you want to take a wide receiver in the like I just fit to me, I'm not taking a running back or wide receiver in the first round. Ever.
Regardless of who the wide receiver is.
I just feel like you can find I'm not I'm not saying I'm not saying these wide receivers aren't worth it. I'm just saying you can find a wide receiver in a later round and still get 85% of the production, maybe not 100%,
Right.
but maybe 85, 80% of the production and get a stud at a position that is hard to find
Right.
in the third or fourth round.
I got you.
That being said, it depends on your philosophy because you need playmakers at these skilled positions. You need playmakers at these skilled positions as well. So
Right. 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 I
it's
don't
going to
know.
be interesting from what you know about them coming over from the Bills, this front office. Are they lean toward just the best player available? Are they trenches first, inside out? Are they get the skill positions? What's their
Honestly, best player available.
best player? Okay.
Because especially since like post Josh Allen, because when you pick like latest we picked this time, like we're picking 25th.
That's true.
You almost
That's true.
have to pick best
You're
available.
right. You're right. You're right.
You have to get who falls to you when you pick 25. So yeah, but I get what you're saying. But when it comes to the Bills, yeah, they all over the place. Like Tremaine Edmonds, I think he was picked in the first round. Like the
Okay.
linebacker that might come over here. He was picked in the first round, but then they also have like a couple defensive linemen that they picked. Ed Oliver was a first round pick.
Right.
Corner, Tavares White might have been a first round pick over there, like they're starting cornerback. So, yeah, they're all over the place. So, I don't know. It could be anybody. Like that's
Right.
why I don't really want to do player profiles when it comes to the
Right.
draft.
Right.
I don't know who to. I have like a good 20 wide receivers that I could do work on if I wanted to. That's how much I know like who's coming out.
Right.
I'm not doing that if I don't know if we might not pick none of them.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. That's a lot of work.
yeah,
That's a lot of work.
I'll wait until after the draft to do profiles on the players that we pick.
Right.
Before I might do some. It just depends, but they would have to be, I don't know, really really dynamic because I could do one easily on Jordan Addison. Almighty Finesse mentioned Jordan Addison, wide receiver out of USC. I could do one on him. Most likely he's not going to be there at 25. Like he's too good.
Yeah. Big Blue View had I forget his name, had him as the fourth wide receiver marked going to the Giants, and he was like 5'8", 5'9". So he's similar to the wide receiver we already have.
You remember?
You know,
You remember what school?
no,
Zay Flowers. That's my number one wide receiver.
he's 5'8".
He's
I
about
think it was
5'10".
I think it was Flowers.
Okay.
They had him as the fourth. He had him.
Right.
Well, no, he wasn't ranking the wide receivers. But in this mock draft, he had three other wide receivers going before him.
Okay, right.
One of them was the wide receiver from SMU or TCU, excuse me, TCU.
Johnson.
And he was 5'10". I think it was Flowers.
Right. He's my.
But you
number
have
one.
him as the number one.
Yes, because I'm the type of person like wide receiver is my favorite position. So this is the position I actually studied. When it comes to fluidity, the breaks in his routes, hands, separation, I think Zay Flowers is the best one, even though he's 5'10". Zay Flowers, he's such an athletic freak. At the end of the season, he was 175. At the combine, he actually gained like 10 to 15 pounds of straight muscle, and still ran the 40 in a 4.4 flat or 4.4 something. So yeah, like when it comes to separation, him and Jordan Addison are probably the number one and number two wide receivers for me, just because of that. I like separation. It's not about how fast you are. It's not about how quick you are. Separation and route running is the number one thing in wide receivers at all times, unless you're like a freak of nature.
Right.
When it comes to the dude at TCU, now we get into the draft. We wasn't even supposed to talk about this. But we talk about Quentin Johnson from TCU. He is the freak of nature type. 6'3", 230 pounds, run the 40 in a 4.4, just as fast as Zay Flowers. But when it comes to him getting in and out of his breaks, he's not the crisp route runner.
Right.
He might not have the best hands, but he can go up and get something. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It depends. Like if we picked any one of these dudes, they will start for us though. It just depends on what you like and how you use them.
And you don't see Flowers as a duplication of position. He could play outside.
Yeah, he can play outside. He can play anywhere. He's not like Wendell Robinson. Wendell Robinson is a little smaller than him. Wendell Robinson really is like 5'8", 5'7".
Okay.
Kind of like a scat back coming out of the backfield. Robinson was a running back first that turned into a slot wide receiver. Zay Flowers is a wide receiver. Like he can go anywhere. Like my comp for him. See, I don't want to. I didn't want to say this. See, my comp for him. I know is every time you do a comp with somebody, everybody will like, all right, it's not him because you have to go lofty.
Right.
For me, he has the type of body control and suddenness in his routes as Antonio Brown does. If that makes sense.
Oh, wow.
That's what he looks like running routes to me.
Wow.
That's how smooth he looks. And he's dynamic with the ball. So I can see Brian Daboll having a field day with Zay Flowers. But
And you know what? And he said, I think, was it, how do you pronounce the GM's name again?
Shane?
Shane. He said that when they were in reference to Flowers and how Daboll looks at wide receivers is the number one thing is the ability to separate.
Right. should be.
That's for him. It's the ability to separate. So he's not really worried about the height. That he'd be able to use both of those guys.
Right. Like Zay Flowers, he should be able to line up anywhere. But then
Right.
again, if Quentin, even though Quentin Johnson's not going to fall for to us at
Hmm.
25, no way,
Hmm.
because
Right.
he's the freaking nature wide receiver that has it all, but the sudden route running. But if you're like 6'3" and 230 pounds to run the 40 in a 4.3, 4.4, you're not going to last until 25 if you're a good
Right.
wide receiver.
Right.
If you
Right.
can catch the ball at all.
Unless you robbed somebody,
Right,
then you
right.
might fall.
Exactly. Exactly. Unless you can, little weed test come back, little
Right. Right.
positive, you
Right.
know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right. Right.
So something like that. But yeah, Quentin Johnson is going to come to us. But if he did, even though I like Zay Flowers because of that route running, we can definitely use Quentin Johnson. He will be our number one wide receiver. Brian Dable will find a way to use him and utilize him to his best of his ability.
Yeah.
It's another kid, Jalen Hyatt, coming out of Tennessee. I really like him too, but he kind of light in the booty. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Like he kind
Hmm.
of light. Like he would probably be in the slot for the most part because of how small he is. He's kind of like Smith from the Eagles.
Hmm.
Like he could be 6 foot, but he like 170,
Right.
175. But he could fly down the field. Almighty Finesse asked about Keishawn Butte. Okay, I like him too, coming out of LSU, but I don't think we'll draft him because of how well, I guess it's not a track record of how we drafted because we only have one draft under this GM. But he kind of Butte have a couple character issues that a lot of people didn't like coming out of LSU. Like I'm not even sure if he finished the season, but I could be wrong about that. But we'll see. Harlem Girl says size is overrated. We still talk about football, but you are definitely correct.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's the see. I didn't want to get in the draft. So hold on. Shane drafted Gabe Davis when he was in Buffalo. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. So that proves that Joe Shane can find. I guess he said that because that kind of proves that Joe Shane can find a late round wide
Hmm.
receiver that can end up being a starter on your team.
Right. Right.
Only thing though, Gabe Davis is not a number one wide receiver. We already got a number two in Isaiah Hodgins. If you can call him a number two, I think he's good enough that he can develop into a starting number two wide receiver. I
Hmm.
know we got him off of Buffalo's practice squad, but I actually think that he could develop into somebody that you can count on over there to be a big possession type wide receiver.
Right.
But he's not a number one though. We need a number one. We need somebody that on
Mm.
third down, it's 3rd and 5. Zay Flowers is getting the ball and you can't do nothing about it.
Right.
Or Quentin Johnson's getting the ball, Jordan Addison's getting the ball. Those type of wide receivers, you can't do nothing about Jordan Addison getting the ball on 3rd and 5. Unless you like
Right.
double, triple team, of course, but
Right. Right.
that's your
Right.
guy.
Yeah. That's the conversations we have about a star in the NBA, right? We need a basket.
It's the same thing. It's the
We
same
need a
thing.
basket.
It's
Who
the
we
same
going to?
thing.
You know you're going to Durant. Everybody know you're going to Durant. Ain't nothing you could do about it.
Can't do nothing about it. Like
Yeah.
think about when we had Odell. You can't do nothing about him getting the ball if we want to
Right.
get him the ball.
Right.
It's the same thing with any other wide receiver. So
What's going on with Odell?
I don't know. Like he didn't sign with anybody, obviously because of his knee.
Hmm.
So it's not just us. He went to Dallas. He went somewhere. I think he went to the Bills too, to be
Hmm.
honest. So I don't know. So I think obviously a couple months have went past, so he's even healthier than he was before. I think he didn't sign with anybody, or nobody did sign him because at the time, because he wasn't done with the rehab, he couldn't do a physical anyway.
Okay.
So it wouldn't have been for that season. I think he was just feeling around,
Hmm. Okay.
and I think we still might sign him. We'll see. I actually want Odell back, man. Odell would be the type of person that obviously you you're not going to sign him to be your number one wide receiver.
Hmm.
But imagine if Odell was our number two.
No doubt about it. And I think, you know, he'll be well, he wasn't really given he was giving Eli. He was a little upset with Eli Manning. I don't know if did he play with Daniel Jones?
No.
No, I don't think he
No.
played with Daniel Jones.
Wait, I think he was on. Daniel Jones was on the team, but he was a rookie and didn't start yet, or something like that.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
he definitely. I'm thinking Daniel Jones came the year after Saquon, but
Right.
Odell and Saquon played together. So yeah, Daniel Jones was on the team. He just didn't start yet.
Okay. Because I know he was upset that Eli Manning couldn't get him the ball.
Right.
He was super upset Eli Manning couldn't get him the ball. But I thought that was Daniel Jones. So I was saying Daniel Jones is better now. He don't have to worry about it. He'll be able to give him the ball. But it was Eli.
Salute to Vinny Vegas. Salute to you, sir. Leon Rose or Cashman or Joe Shane. Who do you trust more in the draft? Get Rose out of here. I don't trust him in the draft. Nah. So it'd be on either Cashman or Shane. I'm a Yankees fan, so with the Yankees farm system, I guess I'll go Cashman because Shane only got one draft in him. So even though I trust him going forward to be our GM, his drafting philosophy and the players that he's drafted, I can't. There's no track record yet for us. He was an assistant with Buffalo, so I can't. Brian Cashman has so much cachet, and our farm system has been pretty good with the Yankees for the past 10 years. So I would have to say Cashman, Shane, and I'm gonna put Leon Rose last just because of Obi.
Right. But he did get
He
quickly
did.
and
Grimes, yep, he did. He did.
Grimes. We seeing the tip of Grimes though.
Right. But yeah, Manuel quickly obviously was a good pick. Yeah, but yeah, I guess I'll go Cashman, Shane, and Leon Rose. But yeah, I'm just crapping on Leon Rose because of Obi, to be honest. That was obviously a bad pick. Salute to Obi though. So now the kid, just that was pretty much all I had for Saquon and Daniel Jones. Do you have anything else? Anything else you wanted to ask or anything?
No. I think, if they're able to, from what I understand, if they're able to sign Saquon, it's going to be the same thing, right? His cap hit will be lower than the
Yes,
10 million as well. It'll give us more money to work with.
that would definitely be lovely for us. But now is Daniel Jones talked about having a team friendly deal. How team friendly do you want Saquon to be when you know that this is kind of like his last hurrah to get a big deal? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't
Yeah,
see
yeah,
Saquon shouldn't want to give us a team friendly deal unless he
right,
just really wants to be a Giant for the rest of his career.
right,
I
right.
don't see him trying to give us a team friendly deal. He
What is he
shouldn't.
asking for? Like 15, 15?
Well, the highest is 16. That's Christian McCaffrey. So he's obviously not getting that.
Hmm.
We offered 12.5 and he turned it down. But we don't know why he turned it down. It could have been the years. It could have been the
Right,
way that they structured it. I don't know.
right,
But if he wants like 14, I'm not paying Saquon Barkley $14 million a year for like 3 years, 4 years. No way.
right. It
Because the
just
run
see 14 seems so low. But
because
for
the
the
running
running
back.
back, for the running back position, yeah.
Right. It seemed low, but your guard. What if your guard is making? I don't know. I guess it depends on the guard, but I don't want to get in positions and what everybody get paid because then it'll get really complicated. But let's just say that running back is not the same as it was before.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
Like it's very rare that a running back would get what Christian McCaffrey got, and he might not even be worth that. Like the Panthers gave him that because he was the number one player on their team, and they weren't really going anywhere, so
Hmm.
they weren't paying anybody at the time. So I think
Hmm.
Cam had left, so they didn't have like a quarterback making a lot of money, so you can afford to pay your running back $16 million.
Hmm.
Now we're not at the position to give any running back 14 to $16 million. I don't care who they are.
Hmm.
We can get two. I can get three running backs or four running backs on our roster that'll equal up that can obviously do what Saquon do, just different pieces. But Saquon is Saquon, so
Right.
I don't know. It's weird.
Now, for you, is it the years? Is it the amount? Is it the years?
I guess to me, you would have to. It would have to be a deal just like DJ's. if it's a 4-year deal, you have to have you can get an out in two
Right.
because he's a
Yes,
running
especially
back.
for a running back. Yeah.
Right. So when it comes to Saquon, though, I guess maybe that's why when it comes to a running back, you want all your money up front. It's about the guaranteed money. Because remember, I told you the
Hmm.
guaranteed money is the real number.
Right. Right.
Because it's not like basketball and baseball. All of these contracts that you see thrown around in the NFL, none of them actually make that money.
Hmm.
Unless they, you just obviously catch one like Aaron Rodgers or something. He's
Right.
getting paid
Right.
like $50 or $60 million this year. He's good enough to do stuff like that and have the
Hmm.
longevity. But for the most part, if you sign a contract for 5 million, 5 years for $200 million, that quarterback is probably going to be either released or something within the third or the fourth year.
Hmm.
But we'll see. We'll
Yeah.
see.
We'll
But
see.
so the key dates going forward, next Monday, the 13th, March 13th to the 15th is the legal tampering window.
Hmm.
That means you could pretty much just talk to free agents. You can't sign them yet, but you can start
Hmm.
negotiating.
Hmm.
But free agency starts on the 15th. But that's why usually at 4 o'clock on the 15th,
Hmm.
that's when the deals start rolling in because
Right.
everybody has already negotiated. Like you already know what all the usually the biggest free agents are going. We might know that Monday or Tuesday, but the 15th is when they can sign. That's all.
Hmm.
And then after that is just the draft, man. Just working on the draft. Like I put the off season workouts there, but nobody really care about that. It's usually just the off season workout program for the players coming into the building.
Hmm.
The newer coaches I put up there is for the third for them because they give them an extra 2 weeks to be acclimated for your new team and organization or whatever. But
Hmm.
yeah, the main date for us really is the draft on the 27th. Obviously, that's a huge day. I will probably go live during the
All right. All
draft.
right.
The whole first round, I'll probably be up here
Hmm.
chilling. So even though we picked 25th, it's going to be a long night.
Yeah.
So it's going to
Sure.
probably be like a 3 hour show. We probably be here till like 8 to 11, just like they do every year. Because I'll
Yeah.
probably do the whole first round.
Okay. I mean, I watched the draft, so it's the same.
So,
Whether I'm on here or watching it on TV, I still watch it.
word, that's what's up. I watch the draft every year religiously, just
Hmm.
like I just watched the combine, and
It's
I'm
the
still
combine.
I'm still going through stuff like on the combine. Like I got the NFL plus joints, so I can actually go back and look at all the workouts again with different positions and stuff.
Hmm.
So that's pretty dope. Almighty finesse. Saquon more than a running back. He can play the passing game too. Yes,
You can.
I'm still not paying him 15, $16 million. Saquon definitely see because it's not about the talent. Because Saquon, when you talk about talent and who he is off the field, Saquon is worth more than that. It's just what you're
Right.
willing to pay him, though.
Right.
Because just like I said with baseball and basketball, football, not only is, the contracts aren't guaranteed, it's a hard cap. You can't go over it. There's no, I could go over it for my own players like bird rights, or
Hmm.
I can go over it and just play like a luxury tax. Ain't no luxury tax. It's a hard cap. So if I'm paying Saquon Barkley 15, $16 million a year, that is bad. Like we're not going to be able to fill any holes that we have going forward. So
Right.
we'll be the same team that we were last year.
Right.
No upgrades is coming except for the draft. And we wouldn't have enough money to re-sign our own players. Like
Right.
that's why they're trying to extend Dexter Lawrence. They're also going to have to extend Xavier McKinney soon.
Right.
Jordan Love, who was our starting strong safety, he's an unrestricted free agent. They have to talk to him now, or he might not be coming back. And he was actually
Wow.
one of the good players on our defense.
Hmm.
Leonard Williams, we have to try to get his cap number down because if not, we have to release him. Like if we don't get Leonard Williams' contract down, I don't see how we will be able to do anything going forward when it comes to upgrades. Like he makes like
Hmm.
30 something $million this year.
Wow.
I think I gotta look it up, but I think he's getting paid like top five defensive tackle money.
Right.
I mean, he obviously doesn't have top five defensive tackle production. Dexter Lawrence would, but that's his contract.
Yeah,
See what
so they'll have to
Homegirl
do
saying.
something with that.
Homegirl says she watch every year, every round. That's what's up. I
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
I
yeah.
love that. So do I. I'm up
Same
there
thing. So
seventh.
do I.
I'm up seventh round up there eating chips,
Mm-hmm.
chilling. I watched the whole thing, yo. It's crazy. Almighty Finesse. Out of all the wide receivers, Addison's the one I want. I can see that. Jordan Addison is nice. Very, very good route running. He's kind of light in the booty, too, though. Like, he might need to gain a little weight. In the NFL, he might end up being just a slot, too. I got to see how he does on press coverage on the outside going forward. But I do like him, though. Leonard Williams said that he's
He
willing
did
to
say
take a pay.
that.
He did say that.
He did say that.
We'll see if he means it though. This is, you know what I'm saying? He said that like at the end of last year after a loss. You know what I'm saying? Like, so we'll see, because if he think he can get more money in the open market, he might want to get released. He might not. He might not do the pay cut, but we'll see. We'll see. But salute to everybody in the chat, man.
yeah.
That was a nice little show. We lasted over an hour. I did not think we was gonna do that, Steph. That
Yeah,
was-
yeah. And listen, we got, more to talk about, really. Free agency is coming. I mean, we can do a show, a free agent special in terms of what the Knicks need. Oh man, what the Giants
About to
need.
say we gonna do that too.
Right.
Eventually.
How we think the Giants should approach free agency.
Right.
It's a lot to talk about.
We'll see, because it's coming fast, man. Like, free agency starts. I know I had it up there. It starts on the 15th, but it really starts the 13th because we can actually talk to people. I don't know. I got to try to squeeze a show in between like Knicks dates and stuff like that.
But that's what I was about to say. Like, we can do a free agency show, like,
Because we don't
before
play.
it start.
The Knicks don't play on the 13th, and they don't play on the 15th. So I don't know. We might do a show either that Monday, Wednesday, or maybe both. I don't know. We'll see. Because the Knicks play on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. We play tomorrow and then Saturday and Sunday.
Right.
Right. We have, we had the Knicks. I'm up there looking at the Knicks schedule.
Right.
We play on Tuesday the 14th, but then we don't play again after that until that Saturday on the 18th. We got a long break. I don't know why. That's weird.
Yeah, it is.
Nice for our players.
Yeah.
People try to use excuses that they was tired last night. I don't know if I like that. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, we deserve a little break, I guess. But any last words, Steph?
It was good to be here with you. Talking Giants. I'm gonna get on that Locked On Giants with Patricia Trainer and Entertainer podcast.
I like the entertainer. I like him.
Yeah, I like the entertainer. I like Patricia Trainer too. This is just getting me way back into my my Giants podcast with Big Blue View with what's his Valentine. I like him as well.
I follow him too.
Yeah, so this is pretty cool. This is what's up.
See, I know I have my own channel, but I don't mind bigging up other like YouTube channels. Like check out Far Side Giants. They're pretty good too.
Okay.
Two younger cats named Alex and Anthony. They deal with the Giants. They almost got like a video up every day.
Really?
Yeah, it's another channel, Talking Giants. I like them.
Yes,
they actually
I like Talking Giants as well.
They actually go to the games like tailgate and stuff sometimes. So I actually like them too. So salute to all of them. Salute to all the content creators. Salute to everybody in the chat that came through. Almighty Finesse, Harlem Girl held it down. Geraldine was here earlier.
Yep.
Somebody else came in. Who was my man? What's his name? I don't want to mess his name up. We scroll. Vinny Vegas. Salute to Vinny Vegas, man. Like, if you haven't subscribed to the channel. Like this joint so we can get the likes up. I got to get the subs up. I took a little hiatus, had a little family stuff going on, but I'm back. And I'm happy.
There you go. And
I'm
leveling
happy I'm
up
back.
too. Y'all saw the slides and the video.
Try to get my game right. I couldn't come back with just us just chilling. Know what I'm saying? I had to give a little presentation. Know what I'm saying? So salute to everybody, man. We out. And I guess I'll check y'all out, man. Peace.
Yep.
Get
Peace.
out. Let me get out of here. I forgot how to even get out of here. I'm new program and everything, Steph.
It
All
takes
right.
time.
All right. Peace.
Nice.
Nice. Well, no.
Yeah. That was nice. I gotta try to figure out how on my descriptions under my videos, the